Hello and welcome to your Zinger 259FL. My name is Zinger from Terrytown, and I'm just going to start this video off by saying I apologize for the wind. I'm going to do my best to try and prevent it from hitting the mic, but otherwise I'm just going to quick jump into it and try to get inside before the wind takes over. But starting right up front here, we're going to have your front power tongue jack. You're going to have a on and off switch for your light down here, and then up here you're going to have your up and down to control your power tongue jack. Just in case it does electrically go out, you can peel this little tab up here, insert a tool, which is going to be a little manual override tool. You can sit there and crank this up or down just in case this does electrically go out. Right behind here, it's going to be kind of hard to see. I'll show you more in person. But there's a little regulator switch back here. You can kind of see where my finger is on it. You just push that down and around to choose this tank, and then down and around to choose this tank. So whatever tank you do want to choose, you just point it in that direction. Just behind here, we're going to have your battery disconnect. So your battery is obviously right here, and then right behind it, you control the power on and off with that just right there. So that just cuts off the battery from the inside of the camper by either having it on power on or power off. Moving on to the side with your water heater, you're going to have this cap here, which is just going to be a cap to keep on your little spout here. I'm just going to kind of set it on there just for a visual representation, but you're going to want to make sure it's nice and tight. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, of course, do that. Put that little cap on the spout, make sure it is as tight as you can get it. And then after that, go to the inside of the camper and turn on the hot side of the faucet. That is then going to sputter for a little bit, but that's just all the air getting pushed out of your tank. So when you do have a steady flow of water, and this is nice and tight, then you can go ahead, turn this on, and do what you need to do. When it comes time to empty it, you just pull this pressure release valve here. I'll try to block the wind. Just pull that pressure release valve there, and then go ahead, take your socket or whatever, pull this back off, and then it'll then drain right out of that spout there. Right down there is going to be your freshwater quick drain. So with that, your fresh tank is going to be right here. The only time you're going to need this is if you're going rustic camping. So a quick example would be for a national park or something like that. You just go ahead, stop right before you go in. Make sure you fill up this big tank. That's all it is just one big tank inside the system. Once that is done, and this is nice and full, you can go in, go rustic camping, do what you need to do. Then when it comes time to then leave, you still have extra water left over in your big tank. That's when you come down here and pull that little white tab, and it'll drain that fresh tank. So in reality, the only time you're ever going to need to fill this up is if you're going camping without being connected to city water connection. Right here's your outside shower. So it's going to look just like the one on the inside, hot, cold side of the line, and then shower head along with shower hose. That's all included inside here. And then right down here, you're going to have your sewer system. So your black tank and your gray tank poles. So your black tank is going to be a toilet, and then your gray tank is going to be a shower and sink. So those are just the two tanks that hold, whatever I just explained, the contaminants. But I recommend doing the black tank first just because that is the dirtiest water, because obviously it comes with solids and everything like that. So what I do recommend doing is opening that first, just giving that a nice pull. The black tank is going to then drain right out of that piece there. And then when it's done, you just push the black tank back, open the gray tank. And then the reason why I recommend doing that one last is just because that's the cleanest water out of the two. So when it completely cleans, you can go ahead and put your hands back on there. It just acts as another little wash, so it's not going to be as dirty when you touch it. This is going to be your camp power or shore power right here. So that's what you plug into the campground for power. And then just to the right of that is going to be your city water connection. So when you get to a campground, this is what you are going to want to plug your water supply into. That's going to be your main water source there. Back storage here. And then this is for cable and satellite right down there. So if your campground does offer it, you can peel that up, insert cables or satellite, anything like that in there, and that'll give you more channels. Backup camera prep, so if you do decide to purchase a backup camera, that's where it will go. And then I'm just going to open this up. I want to make sure this is open. Put this little piece back, and it hooks on just like that. Coming down here, these are going to be little pieces to your starter pack. So this is going to be your sewer hose. I do recommend getting a upgraded one. This will last you a little while, but if it cracks or breaks, it's going to eventually, of course, spill, leak, stuff like that. And with sewer and everything coming down, this is the last thing you're going to want to leak or have leaking. So I just recommend getting a better one than that. 25-foot drinking hose. And then this is going to be a 110 adapter. So if you need to plug your unit into your house at any time, you are able to do that. And then right behind here, you have two little crank jacks. This one is going to be for a manual override for these, just in case. And then it is also going to be a manual override for your front power jack there. Otherwise, these pieces here are going to be for your hitch, which your salesperson will go over with you when it's time. Right here is going to be an extend and retract. That just drops your power stabilizer jacks there. Sometimes, like in this example, this side is coming down first. Don't worry about it. Usually they come down at the same time, but that one might have just gotten stuck. But if you watch, as soon as this side hits, the other side's going to be flinging down. Okay, let's drop it down regardless. But this side hits first, and then the other side. And as soon as both, let's see, is that down? As soon as both sides do hit, then I do recommend only holding it for another half second or so. Let's see here. So just like that. So once there's pressure, you can kind of see it slowly start to raise. Just let go immediately. Because this isn't meant to raise, it's just meant to stabilize. So that's why you want to hold it for a half second after it hits the ground, just to make sure it has that pressure in between. There we go. Oh, look at this. So you actually have a black tank flush. So what I mentioned before is that your black tank is your toilet, water, and everything like that inside. So you have this really cool feature here. This is a black tank flush. So what I mentioned before is when you pull the black tank, it empties. What I recommend is leaving your black tank open, putting a pressurized hose into this. So once it's done emptying your black tank, leave that tank open, put a pressurized hose into this, and then that is then going to activate a small sprinkler inside the black tank to help get any stuck toilet paper or anything like that. Just gives it one last flush. And when you're done, take this hose off, close the black tank, and then open your gray tank. Just in case you do decide to put a small TV outside to watch a game or anything like that, it gives you 110 outlets for power right there. And then it gives you a little cable input right there as well. This down here is going to be your furnace exhaust. So when this is on, all the excess heat is going to be kicking out of here. So what I do recommend with this is if there's any little kids, animals, anything like that in the area, just try and keep them away when this is on. If it's off, they can touch it, do whatever, just like I'm doing now. But if it's on, then that's going to be very hot. And then just up front here is going to be your other extend and retract for your power stabilizer jack there. And then moving to the inside, when the door is open, make sure it is completely open before you move your steps, because otherwise this little piece will scrape the side of your door here. Otherwise you just lift up, put it in, and then make sure that both of these little silver pieces are behind the frame by twisting this little piece. You can see how this little contraption works. It moves it just like that behind both sides. When it is, it'll be stuck behind the frame, so it won't wobble as much when you're moving. To adjust your legs, just press this little button in and you can move those up or down. Otherwise, to take it out, you just twist the yellow handle, let it drop, and then it's out just like that. Otherwise, moving to the inside, this is going to be your main little power panel here. You're gonna have battery reader, fresh tank reader, black tank, and grays. It just tells you how full they're going to get. Water pump. The only time you're ever going to need to use your water pump is if you're going to use that fresh tank. So like I mentioned before, with that, if you're rustic camping and you need to use your fresh tank, you just flip this water pump on, and it's going to draw from that little big tank I showed you on that side. It's going to draw water from that and push it through your lines. Right here, you have two elements to your water heater. So whether you want to use gas to heat it up or electric to heat it up, that's what you flip. Exterior light, which is going to be the awning light. Ceiling light, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then awning retract and extend. When moving this, I'm only going to do it for, I'll fully extend it. What I was going to say is that when it's fully extended, you will see the flap kind of come down, and then you are going to be able to see the gray bar it's sitting on behind it. So I'll just give you a little example right here. So there's the flap, and then there's the gray bar that's sitting on behind it. That's how you know you're fully extended. You do not want to keep reeling out. You're going to have to manually let go, because if you do end up reeling out and continuously reeling, it'll reel in the opposite way and end up breaking. And then auxiliary light, which if when you flip this, it just turns on those little blue lights right there. Otherwise, moving on for your fridge, to turn it on, you just hold this power button here, and then you can choose your temperature. So 5 is going to be the coldest it gets, and 1 is just going to be cold. So the higher the number, the colder it gets. To choose whether fridge or freezer gets cool, or when you control the temperature, you just switch between the two there. And then this is going to be a little nighttime mode. It just kind of makes it quieter. There's not really a whole point to it. Otherwise, that's it for your fridge and freezer. Moving on, this is going to be your thermostat. So whatever you want the temperature you want, you just move it to there with this little slide there. And then you go to system and choose whether you want it hot or cold. So of course, cool, you're gonna have it on the cooler temperatures there. And then it's going to read off of that. And then for heat, move it up, and then it's going to heat up to whatever temperature that little piece is at. If you want just a fan, you can do that by switching it to fan, and then fan settings are going to be right there on the right side. There's not really a whole lot to your bathroom. Just the main things is just going to be foot flush. You just press down with that right there. And then you're going to want toilet solution along with RV grade toilet paper. The toilet paper just helps break down easier, so you don't have to worry about clogging. And then the solution helps break down solids and smells, just to once again make sure everything gets going nice and easy. Moving on to your bedroom, not a whole lot to it, except this is a little television bracket right there, just in case you do put a TV in here. And you have your input and then your 110 outlets there for power. Let's moving into the main area here. You're gonna have your microwave, light and fan. And then for your oven and stove, tap to turn on. And you just press in, turn to release the gas, and you spark to the right to ignite. So once again, you press in, turn, spark. For your oven, right back there is going to be your igniter, and that's also where it releases the gas. So you're going to want to do the same thing. Press in, turn to the pilot symbol, so that little flame symbol, sit there, spark, spark, spark. You'll see a small flame appear in the back. Once you do, then you can go ahead and adjust to your temperature needed. Keys here. This is going to be for your main doors, and then this is going to be for outside shower. So main doors and baggage doors, and then outside shower. Right down here is going to be your carbon monoxide detector. So this is always going to be on just as a safety feature. So when you do decide to leave your camper for 3 to 4 days, put it in storage, anything like that, make sure you turn your battery disconnect off. This will turn off, but sometimes it will be stubborn. So just double check. You're unplugged from everything, your battery disconnects off. Just open your door and take a peek. And if you do see that little green light, it should be right there. Then I do recommend just taking the negative end off of your battery, because then this will finally die. So once again, it should turn off with your battery disconnect, but if it's stubborn and isn't, then just take the negative end off of your battery. And then for your sound bar here, you just tap to turn on. Turn your volume down with the plus and minus there. A speakers, B speakers, and then right there. And then this is going to be a source, whether you want Bluetooth, anything like that, you can just keep tapping. You can see it move up top there. And then pair, press, play or pause, and then of course switch channels with the left and right there. Otherwise you just tap to turn back off. Otherwise, this has really been your orientation. Oh, forgot one last thing about, that was my hip. But otherwise, one last thing right here for your AC. What people will do, so when you turn the AC on, it's just going to dump straight out of here. That's why people will leave these open when they first get to a campground, because it's going to be hot and sweaty and muggy. So just to get air moving, they're going to open these up, let the air come out. It's going to start to cool down right away. And then let's say it starts to cool down a little bit, you know, people are starting to move back in here. Then what they'll do is they'll close these, and then since it's all ducted, it is going to then flow through your ceiling and come out of the vents like these. So otherwise, that has been your orientation. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email me or your salesperson and we can get those answered for you. Otherwise, that has been your orientation, and I hope you enjoy. Congratulations.